All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anna. I'm program manager with the Whole U. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys and kind of go on this journey with you for the next 90 days as we focus on reading more. I know it's something I struggle with too, so I'm personally excited to learn all the things we're going to over the next 90 days. I think for me, this would have been one of the groups I would join. As you're aware, I'm recording this. We'll be recording all of our different webinars for those who can't attend. So today, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to take a temperature of the group with a poll everywhere. We're going to set some intentions, do a quick self-reflection activity, a quick small group discussion just to get to know other people and meet some other people in the group. And then we have a wonderful workshop with UW Libraries today that we'll learn a little bit more about as we progress through the morning or the afternoon now. And I just, it's a pretty small group with us today, so feel free to unmute, ask any questions, share any ideas you're having, send questions in the chat. I have all my windows open, so I should be able to track throughout. So what you can expect in this group, we're going to be doing some monthly check-ins. We're going to have classes and workshops. Specifically, UW Libraries is going to continue to kind of steward us through our workshops as our reading experts. We're going to define some reading goals, and that's a little more of a personal side of the program, so that's something you will work on. And then we'll be hosting a book club as well, which I'll share more detail on in just a few slides. If you're in any other groups, you've kind of heard this spiel, but to stay connected, we have a Microsoft Teams group. You can click that link later once you get these slides to join the group. You'll also get an email invite for those of you who already said you wanted to join that group. That's just a place to share your experience throughout the 90 days. If you find something you love reading or you want to connect with others, it's kind of like a social media style area to connect with the group. We also have set up a tab on our website. I put a picture in here, a little screenshot, so you can see every group has their own section, their own page. All of the materials that we'll be providing and any webinars we'll be recording will go on this page. So I'll make sure you get a link to this page via email, but just for ongoing content, it's a good place to look back and check. And then I will be emailing you. I'll try not to saturate your inbox too much, but you can always email me back. You can give me a phone call. My number and my email are accessible, and I welcome any questions. So our roadmap is January. We're really just getting started. We're looking at, finding what you like, knowing where to get it, exploring, different ways of even connecting to reading and finding books or, literature. February, kind of keeping at it, tips and resources to really make a habit and stick with reading once you found what you like and, found your groove, making your groove happen. In March, we're focused on kind of making connections and finding a reading community and kind of looking at other ways to connect with reading. So I called that, reading outside the box. Obviously reading is reading a book, but there's other ways to kind of engage with reading. So we'll explore some of that in March. Book club. So a lot of people in this group will want to join book club. Others won't. It's totally up to you. So in February, our book is going to be Saigon, a Misfits memoir of great books, punk rock, and the fight to fit in. So we will be meeting at the end of February to discuss that. I put the date and the time up there. So if you want to join us, you have between now and the end of February to read this book. There's no requirement to finish, but obviously it's best if everyone finishes for book club to discuss. We'll meet, we'll have guided discussion, we'll go in breakout rooms. And so, take a week or so if you want to join, pick up that book, and then we have about a month to make our way through the book so we can discuss that together at the end of February. And again, you'll get all this information via email. It'll be on that page, and I'll share these slides with you. In March, we're going to read The Book Thief. Some of you may have read this before. It is an international bestseller from 2014. I personally have never read it, and it's very well reviewed. So we're looking forward to doing that one in March. Again, that group discussion will be at the end of March, 2 to 3 p.m. on Zoom. So you have some time to think about getting that book. And it'll be the same process as February. We'll read it throughout the month and then come together for some discussion. So all are welcome, not required to be part of book club. So I thought it would be fun today to just kind of check in, see how we are doing, just where are we coming to this meeting, and I have a few other questions. So if you've never used Poll Everywhere before, it's a polling format. It's completely anonymous the way I have it set up. So you can pull up on a device, cell phone, your computer, a tablet, type in the URL area of Safari or Google, pollev.com/Anna Marie TEG 371. I believe you guys can see that link on the page. Let me know if that's not up there for you. I've heard in other groups, some people have a hard time finding that. Or there's texting in, which might work really well if you have a cellular device on you. You can text to the number 22333. That code right there, Anna Marie TEG, TEG 371. And then you can answer A, B, C, or D, and it'll show us your result live. Give people a few minutes to figure that out. If anyone's struggling with that Poll Everywhere piece, go ahead and let me know or shoot a question. I can try and help best I can. Looks like we've got about 8 responses so far, so halfway there, pretty good. So far, people are doing well today, smiles. Throughout this week, I've gotten a lot of B answers, a lot of, I think, people feeling a little overwhelmed and shocked with the new year. This group, our average seems to be pretty happy, which is good to see. I'll give it just about another minute for those of you who might still be trying to figure out that piece of submitting your answer. Alrighty, and I'm not seeing any questions come in. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next question. About how many books do you finish per year? Where are you at right now or in the past? This will be very interesting to see across the board. I'll have to pose this question to our large group via email as well. It'll be interesting to see as a large group where we're at. I know we have a smaller group on here today. We've got some avid readers, it looks like 12 plus. I suppose, you know, that's up to your own interpretation of avid reading. 1 to 4 seems to be a popular answer for this group.
Anna, do you count audiobooks?
Yes, audiobooks, absolutely. All right, looks like those answers are pretty set here. We have almost a tie between 1 to 4 and 12 plus, so it's a pretty big range for who's on the meeting today. All right, our next question are, what barriers stop you from reading? If any. Being tired, distracted, family, time seems to be a popular answer. TV, movies, media, distractions. Children. Seems like time is the most popular answer we're getting. Thank you everyone for sharing. All righty, so time, we'll definitely have to cover then how to make a little more time and how to carve out that time. So this last poll, I'd love to get a pulse from you all. What genres do you love to read? Do you have a favorite genre? What have you read in the past that you've loved? Mystery? Or listened to, as Kimberly mentioned earlier? Mystery, thriller, fiction? Science, fantasy, historical, everything. I can't help but wonder if Jolynn, you sent in that everything. Biography.
I did not send in that everything, but clearly that would be one that I just read because I love reading.
Travel. Fiction seems to be a popular answer, and mystery, biography.
It's actually time travel, Anna. That's what I submitted, and it's just the way it broke it up somehow.
Broke it up, I see. Sounds like an awesome
time travel
genre.
Historical. Outlander. It's
Cool.
my favorite.
All righty, romantic, self-help, thriller, speculative, memoir, classics. We got a lot of different genres up there. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on. So throughout the 90-day challenge, we really encourage you to create goals around reading. And for everyone, you know, that looks a little different. I'm not going to go too much into goal setting today. We have a few recorded webinars that are really great if you're looking to set some concrete goals and kind of focus on how to accomplish and make those come to fruition. And that's with Lee Davis and then also Jennifer Cohen. Both of those are already recorded and we've got those links posted to the website. I can also make sure you get those via email, but just kind of some nuggets that I've taken away from those is one, you know, don't expect to change overnight. Really focus on make that habit building daily and building something into your routine, slowly incorporating more reading into your life. And Jennifer Cohen in her talk, she really talks about the importance of creating a routine. It's a quick 30-minute video I highly recommend. Fit it into your day, your week, however it fits for you. And start small. Is it 10 minutes a day, 1 hour a week? Really try to make it manageable. And 3, write it down. You know, in a way, you're almost making a contract with yourself. I know we all have a lot of things we're constantly writing down and keeping track of, but to make and really recognize a new routine, a new goal, there's that whole mind-body connection with writing something down. So I highly recommend kind of making a little contract with yourself. For myself, a routine would be, you know, 2 hours a week. I'm going to transition from doing media type, watching Netflix, watching TV, scrolling on my phone to reading. And for me, that's manageable. I can dedicate 2 hours a week, but really, you know, analyze, look at your life, look at what you have going on and see what fits for you. You can always add more later, but you don't want to try and, you know, swallow more than you can chew. So now I wanted to kind of just give us a little bit of time to go into a self-reflection, 5 minutes. I'm going to put on some light music so you can kind of start to think about why you're here and what you're interested in really making happen over the next 90 days. And these are some recommended questions. You can think about it. I highly recommend taking out a pen and a paper, writing it down. I'll go ahead and get some music going for you all. We'll just take 5 minutes here. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our UW librarians who are going to spend the next, 40 minutes to an hour with us or so. Elliot Stevens and Madison Sullivan, thank you so much for being here. Elliot is a Research Commons librarian and UW Libraries subject librarian for English Studies. And Madison is a fine and performing arts librarian, both with UW Libraries. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and let you two take it away.
Yeah, Anna, thank you so much for such a nice introduction, and thank you for just getting things started. And in our breakout room, we just had a really nice conversation, so I'm really it was so nice to talk to Melinda and Connie, but can't wait to talk to more people. And I'm going to put, and then it's fun to present with my colleague, Madison Sullivan, who's just complete delight to work with and an avid reader and researcher.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Madison Sullivan. We were just in the breakout rooms too, so sorry for repeating myself for those that already heard this, but I'm the Fine and Performing Arts Librarian at UW. I work at the Art Library and the Drama Library. So I'm really excited just to talk about books because like a lot of you, I used to read a lot when I was younger, but like trying to get back into it, like as an adult, as some, with a 40-hour-a-week job and other things that I want to do and Netflix and all of these other things, bringing it back into my life like was a lot more difficult than I thought. And I'm a librarian, so so I definitely can commiserate with you all on that.
And I put a link to our agenda that we're going to be using in the chat box. Really, really quickly, I'm just going to share my screen just to kind of talk about how we're going to use this agenda. I think you all are already figuring out exactly how we're going to use this agenda. So in this agenda, we have links to things that Madison and I are going to talk about, but we also have places where we're asking you to interact. It was really fun using Poll Everywhere, but we're just going to use a Google Doc here. And so really, people are already getting started here, but we just wanted to start off by asking you, what is a book that you've read recently that you've loved? Or what is a book that you really want to read and maybe haven't had the time yet? So let's just take a minute right now just to put some of this in here. And then Madison and I are going to start jumping into resources that can help you find books or find similar books or different books or audio books, whatever it is. So let's just take a minute here to put some ideas in.
And if you want to like jump down a couple question marks down to make sure that you don't write over somebody or whatever, you can do that as well. I know it can kind of sometimes get a little messy when you have a lot of folks in one Google Doc. And I hope as well that you get the vibe from today that this is a judgment-free space. So this is about you and your preferences and what you enjoy reading, right? So regardless of the genre or the audience, I like reading YA. I like reading books that are meant for teenagers or children, and that's totally legitimate. And nobody should feel ashamed about that, as well as the format that you're reading in, right? Like audiobooks are legitimate. That's the thing that got me back into reading is audiobooks because I could fit it just into my life so much easier. Or if you like comic books or graphic novels, those are all legitimate things to be reading. And it doesn't matter how long it is, or if it's nonfiction or fiction, or if you're doing it just because it's fun and raunchy and whatever. You don't always have to be, oh, I'm doing this to better myself or whatever, right? Like you want to enjoy yourself as well. Both are good reasons. I love seeing all the ones that are coming in. I finished The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue recently. I'm seeing people are pointing that out. I finished the first Outlander book too. So many of these are also on my I need to read this list. I did the audiobook of Becoming Michelle Obama. Oh my gosh, because I was like, I have to hear Michelle read it to me. And it was so great. Oh, I'm currently reading I was looking. Is it Cast or Case? I don't know how you say that. Cast. I'm reading that. Just started it.
All right, so we're getting tons of good ideas. I think we were talking a little bit in our breakout room. Sometimes the problem with reading, it's not so much that you don't know what to read, it's that your list is too long, or I always get distracted because I'm trying to read 3 to 5 things at once when I really need to read 1 to 2 things. So, and you all are just making it worse now because now my reading list is getting longer because of all these great things that you've been listing. So thank you so much for putting some of these ideas down. What I'm going to talk about a little bit right now is just the UW library catalog. I think in some ways, because of the pandemic, the UW library catalog, you know, this might be the catalog that you use to get books and to request books. It might work out perfectly for you. Or you might find that the Seattle Public Library catalog is going to be the best way for you to find books and get books, especially ebooks and audiobooks. Seattle Public Library is absolutely astonishing when it comes to ebooks and audiobooks. I don't know what their budget is like, because this stuff can be really expensive for the actual institution, but for library users, if you have something like the Seattle Public Library and their ebooks and audiobooks, we are so fortunate to live in this state and in this city to have access to that stuff. It's incredible. But we just wanted to start off by talking about the University of Washington system, just because, you know, we're at the UW and it could potentially be really useful for finding books. But what I also think is that our library catalog is really a special machine for finding the book that you like and maybe finding similar books and other books. And so I think when you're using a library catalog, it's not just a system for getting what you want, it's also a discovery system. That's sometimes what librarians call things like the library search. We call it a discovery system because it's not just about finding what you already have in mind, it's about getting other ideas. So I'm going to share my screen. And in this document, we do have a link. So if we just go to the UW Library homepage, it's going to take you a page that looks like this. But in our Google Doc, I've put in a link that takes us to the advanced search zone. And, you know, the advanced search, it just gives you a few more things, a few more options that you can put in sometimes. Sometimes maybe you want to put not only the title of something, but also, you know, an author's name. And so what I'm going to do, a book that I haven't read yet, but that is on my list that I've heard is really, really good is called Severance. And so I could put this as the title if I wanted. I get kind of worried sometimes when it's just like a one-word title like that, because maybe it's going to bring me back lots and lots of different things. I do know that Severance is by someone named Ling Ma. And so I can also here put author, creator, and I can put in Ling Ma as well. And so here, it looks like I got back Severance and Ling Ma. And it says it's available at the UW Tacoma Library. Now, right now, ever since the pandemic, the UW libraries, you know, we closed in mid-March and our spaces have not been open for people to go into and to get books or to study. We've just been totally closed. What we've been doing these last few months is a contactless pickup system. And so if you do, you know, as people who are current students and faculty and staff, we're all UW library members. So if you wanted to, you can log in and you can request the book. And so actually we do have one at Suzzallo and Allen. It's out, someone has it, but there is one at UW Tacoma. So you can request the book. And right now, the way it's working is you're going to be in contact with library workers who are going to organize a time for you to actually go to Suzzallo and Allen and pick up the book in a contactless way where everyone's wearing masks and not going into the library spaces or touching things. So you could request the book if you wanted to. But what I also like to do in terms of using the library catalog, it's not necessarily just about getting the book. Maybe I've already read Severance and I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. And I want to read more things like it. I want to see if Ling Ma has written other books. I want to find books like it. Oh, let me see, we have a chat question.
I can take the chat question if that helps, Elliot, while you're going through everything.
Okay. Yeah, just so long as you have a net ID and a password, you're in, no problem. You can request books and everything nothing should cost you anything. This is one of the great things about being associated with a university library like this, is just all the materials that we have access to and can request. So you can request the book, but let's say I loved this book and now it's like, I will read anything by Ling Ma. And so in this library record, there is a link just for Ling Ma. And so this is the Ling Ma who wrote Severance. So if there were multiple people who had different names, this is going to be the right person. And so I can click on this. And at least in terms of reading other things by Ling Ma, I'm out of luck because this was her debut novel. So I have to wait. I hear she's working on another one. It's going to probably be amazing as well. But at least in terms of this, if I read Severance, I'm kind of stuck with that for now if I want to read more things by Ling Ma. But I'm going to go back. And what you're going to notice is that in the UW Library Catalog, I don't just get information about the author, but it gives me these other, this is library gold, like all these other links to different things. This thing that says LCSH, that stands for Library of Congress subject heading. And so this is work that librarians do. They, a book is written, a book comes in, and the librarians have to decide what subject heading it goes to. And the whole point is to create complete sets of things that are similar or things that are like each other, so that maybe if you found one thing, you can find more things like it. And so apparently there's a Library of Congress subject heading for epidemics -- fiction. So if you want to, I wonder if Station 11 would appear in there, probably. Or there's something, novels, fiction, that seems pretty general. So if I were to click on just novels, my guess is I would get back millions upon millions of things back. But something like Black humor literature, that might be a smaller set of language. And just in terms of searching, I don't know if I ever would have searched Black humor, but by looking at this record, it's sort of giving me ideas for other places that I could go. This is where the library catalog really is a discovery system. So I'm going to click Black humor and just see what I get. And I get back 640 things. It looks like some of these things are even in other languages, maybe Nordic languages. Unfortunately, I can only read in English. And so if you read in other languages, that's certainly a fiction lover superpower that you have. And this is also kind of a lot of things. So I kind of, maybe I want to limit this. 640 is too much to sift through. So here at the top, I see I have Black humor as my subject, but I could say, you know what? I really just want things from the last couple years. So I'm going to limit this a little bit. And the hope is that I will now have fewer than 640 things. Oh, I need to click search. And so I went from 640 things to 4 things. And oh my goodness, I completely forgot about My Sister, the Serial Killer.
It's such a good book. I love that book.
See, I totally forgot that this was actually supposed to be on my reading list. I completely forgot that this is supposed to be one of the best books of 2019. And so now this has reminded me. I started off with Ling Ma and Severance, one thing that I liked. I started clicking around with Black humor and the last 2 years. And now I'm seeing another book that I forgot that I desperately wanted to read. So this book, it looks like this book is not available. It's not available in the University of Washington libraries. In times when we're not in a pandemic, you can request it from other regional libraries, but we can't do that right now. Actually, as English studies librarian, as someone who buys fiction, I should buy this book right away and make sure that we have it at UW Seattle. But so if you wanted this book, you would have to request it through the Seattle Public Library, or maybe find it as an audiobook or as an ebook through the Seattle Public Library. But again, if I remembered that I really loved this book, or I wanted to read this book, I can again see if the author has written other books, or I can also look for satirical literature, domestic fiction. This is another way where I can turn one promising book maybe into future promising books. So that was really all I wanted to share. Oh, actually, I have one other thing that I want to share. Another thing just really quickly I wanted to share about the University of Washington Library Catalog is that if you ever want to just start saving, like if you want to start copying and pasting things and saving things to your list, you can always click here, citation, and it just gives you different ways of citing things. Because I'm in the world of English, I often like MLA, so you can save this, and this way you save the name of the author, you save the name of the title. Sometimes the name of the publisher can be super essential for finding the right book. So if I wanted to, I could take this and I can copy it and paste it into here. So this is our list. In just a second, we're going to be asking you to go on an adventure in the UW Libraries catalog and find something. So I can put this here as something that I want. Another thing that you can save in the library catalog, if you ever just want to save links, so maybe you don't want to save the whole citation information, you just want, look, I just need a link that I can go back to later on. One mistake that people make with the UW Library catalog is they save this link at the top. The problem is that this link breaks all the time. This is not a stable link. This might be broken in an hour or in a day. And so instead you can click this permalink button and you can save this link. And this is a link that is perma, it is permanent. And so I put here my citation information, and I could also put a link there if I wanted to. And then I can go back to it later on. So we just like to give you some time right now to explore the UW Libraries catalog, see if you can find some things. Maybe you want to request something, or use the library catalog as a discovery machine, as a way to find something that you loved recently and see if you can find similar things in it. So we're going to take about 7 minutes right now just to explore and have some fun. If you find anything that does look promising or does look good, please copy and paste it and put it into our document that we're using. So I have that it's 12:45, maybe at 12:52, we'll get back and we're going to talk at 12:52. Madison's going to help us to get deeper into the Seattle Public Library system.
If folks have questions as you're going through or you're not sure how to use something, feel free to ask questions. You can jump on the mic or ask us a question in the chat.
I do have a question about language. So I'm trying to narrow it down to just English, and I see on the left side of the screen there is a language area, and I checked the English button, but I don't know how to make that change my list. It didn't automatically do it.
There should be, like, on the left side, like apply filters. If you go down a little bit, is it showing like a little box that says apply filters?
Let's see. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I always forget to do that too. I click it and I think it'll just automatically do it, but yeah, it makes you do that extra click.
That's great. Thank you. I had my screen minimized, so I couldn't see all the way down. Thank you.
Yeah.
So if I want to search by like genre, what should I put in? Any field? And then how would you recommend that? I guess there's subject. What if I want to search for like a subject like within a genre?
So you could, like where it's an advanced search, you could just like, I don't know, something that I do sometimes, like I love those Library of Congress things. So I could maybe just initially search for science fiction and then maybe click on something that looks like a science fiction book. And then within that thing, click on the Library of Congress subject heading. So then I have science fiction as like my top overarching thing. And then once I've chosen that top overarching subject heading, within it, I could do maybe something like climate or maybe like Mars or ocean. So then it's like, I will, because my guess is like the set of science fiction is going to be really, really big, just thousands and thousands of things. But then like once you've established that, you can then search within it for maybe things that you like.
Totally. Thank you.
Or like if you've recently read a science fiction book that's in a subgenre that you really, really love, I would search for it in the library catalog and then see what its record says. See like what subject headings are associated with it and then go from there.
Okay, we're going to come back in about a minute. So if you have anything that you wanted to post to our Google Doc, you can throw that in now. We're seeing impossible views of the world, a nonfiction mystery. Ooh, okay, that sounds cool. We have the ebook for Nickel Boys. That's pretty cool. Yeah, we don't often have fiction ebooks at the library. So like the big difference between, right, like an academic library and a public library is that we like our number one sort of thing is to support the research practices and classes and things like that. Yeah, let me post the doc for you all again. So we just collect for different reasons, right? So the public library is obviously going to just have a lot more of those sort of fun books that you all are probably going to be interested in. That's still a lot that we have, but it often will need to tie into research or a class or something like that. So you might have noticed that as you were doing your searches, maybe you came across a lot of really scholarly looking things that you're like, I have zero interest in reading that. For fun anyway. Okay, well, let's get started and let's look at the Seattle Public Library. Quickly get us into there. Share my screen. Okay. So I'm going to go to the Seattle Public Library homepage, and it's just spl.org. Somebody else in the chat also mentioned the King County Public Library, which is going to have very similar resources, similar sorts of systems and catalogs and ebooks and all of those kinds of things. So if you know how to use the Seattle Public Library, you will likely know how to use the same sort of things at the King County Public Library and vice versa. So this is going to be really similar to searching within the library's catalog. You can do a search here if you're looking for a particular book or author, but ways that I kind of like to go in and find new books, maybe ones that I haven't already identified yet. I go to books and media, and there's the tabs, the what's new and what's popular tabs. I really like those to kind of keep up to date with things that have recently been added to the collection. You know, you can click on new fiction, new nonfiction, poetry. I kind of like that because you can automatically go in and like limit it to the genre that you already know you're interested in. So if you know you love historical fiction, they're going to have what are the new titles in those areas. And then I also like looking at what's popular. So what are like the top romance novels or whatever from people who use the Seattle Public Library. This is another great kind of way to find lists of books and things that have come out recently that are really like the hot books that everybody's checking out. There's also the staff picks, which I absolutely love. So if you go to books and media, you have to click on books and ebooks. And then it should be, let's see, staff picks right here. It'll take me down here. So these are recent staff picks. So I'm working to get more into fantasy. So this would be like very exciting for me, but and you can keep going on to look at all the different staff picks. So these are things that the library workers have read and, you know, reviewed and like think like this is legit, these are really good. So I love those kinds of things. So that's like 3 things that I like to kind of do to explore rather than just diving into the catalog right away. I kind of like looking at these curated lists first. But also wanted to suggest you can ask a public librarian for reading recommendations. Like this is what they do. So it's called like Reader's Advisory in public libraries, where you can ask any librarian and say, hey, I read Outlander. What can you recommend to me? Like if I really love that, like where can I go next? So a way you can do that is they have a chat available like during normal business hours until I think like 5:30. But you can chat and like just put that in there and ask a question and they'll give you back recommendations. Another really great tool, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find it right away, but let's see if I go back. They also have the service called Your Next 5 Books. So you give them, here we go, your next 5 books. You tell them about a book that you recently read or that you love, and then they will get back to you very quickly with 5 books that they recommend you check out based on your preferences and what you like to read. So don't forget that the librarians are there to kind of help you find your next read. So in order to get access to all these great and wonderful resources, you're going to need your library card, and they're going to have a link to that on pretty much all of their pages. And it's really simple right now. You don't even have to go into the physical library because of COVID. You just fill out the library card application, which takes like 2 seconds. It's pretty much just your name and address and email, and you can get a library card that way. Excuse me. Excuse me. So you can get your library card, and then you'll be able to get access to ebooks, to the physical books, all of that. So if you wanted to get books onto your device, all your different devices, there's a tool called Overdrive and Libby. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with either of those apps. If you want to like raise your hand or whatever, if you use those things, They are life-changing and the best things ever. Yeah. So I got my parents both like really into it. They're like telling all their friends, they're like, oh my gosh, this Libby app is like the best thing ever. And it's really cute. But you can download ebooks, audiobooks from these apps. And I'll show you what it looks like. So the Libby app you can use right on your phone. And it syncs, which is really great. It syncs across your devices. So I have it on my phone. So if I'm on a plane or whatever, wherever I am, if I'm commuting on the bus, I have it on my phone, but it also syncs up to whatever my e-reader is. So if you have a Kindle or if you have an iPad, I use an iPad, it syncs all of your reading up to those things. And it's really great because they also include guides and different like new resources and recommended reads from librarians. So they tailor different lists on there as well. And then it's just like a click and you can download them to your devices. So it's a great way to get recommendations and to also get into audiobooks, which is great. So the Libby app is like my favorite thing in the world. And I like forced my friends, like when I had a couple of friends move here and like the first thing I was like, we need to go get your Libby app set up immediately. Like it's just, I love it so much. So let's see. Do we have any questions about any of those things that I talked about and kind of how to dive into some of the Seattle Public Library resources? I know we all miss kind of going into the library, and I love seeing like the new book displays and like the popular reads that they have listed. But for now, I know that they have curbside pickup and all of that. But for now, making use of those different lists and resources that they have online is something I would recommend as well. They have a blog too, which is great, where they put book reviews and things like that too.
So can I just, I use the e-readers quite liberally, both Libby and Overdrive, and some books aren't available for reading with your Kindle app. So making sure that you have something where you can read with both a Kindle app and with the Overdrive reader is useful. So either your phone or if you're using a Kindle, using one that has the ability to link to the internet. So you can just download Overdrive and open your books that way.
Yeah, thank you for that recommendation. So if folks would like to dive into some of these resources on the Seattle Public Library page, from our Google Doc that we have listed, you could go through some of those staff picks or the popular reads in a particular area that you really like, and then post some of the books that you might want to read or maybe that you have read to our Google Doc. We're going to give you some time to do that as well. And if you have any questions during that time, we can answer those as well while that's all happening. Yes, and you can only put 25 books on hold at a time and check out 25 books at a time. I have it down like it's like a freaking, I don't know, well-oiled machine on my Libby app. So I have Seattle Public Library and I have the King County Public Library on my Libby app. So I get to do 50 books on hold and check out 50 books at a time. So bam. So I highly recommend if you can get access to King County as well, do the same thing. So yeah, so that was the way I could get, you know, a lot more materials out at once. And you can also like check out a few different things at a time, and you can manage your holds in such a way that like you time them really well. So some of them will say like, oh, your book is ready, but you're like, oh no, I'm already reading 3 other things right now. And you can say, can you come back to me in like 2 months with this book? And then you can check it out then. So I sort of have like this rotation going. You kind of get into a groove of like reading a couple and then having your holds come in at the right time. Yeah, I'm a nerd. but
I like this Northwest category. It's cool to find local reads and local authors.
we have so many amazing writers in the Pacific Northwest. And so it's really exciting that they kind of feature them and give their props to them as well. It's cool. Another thing about the Libby app as well is they'll have different like sections that are like always available, like what ebooks are always available, like ones where unlimited people can check them out all at once. Like if you want something like immediately and you don't want to wait like a week or two for your hold to go through, that's like another one. I always scour the like what's available now if I don't want to wait for something. So that's always nice too. And sometimes you'll see like a print book is checked out. Like, so I always check like for if there is an audiobook, because sometimes you can get like one or the other more quickly. Like maybe the audiobooks are all checked out, but you can get the physical one or vice versa. So yeah, I'm very persistent and determined to find what's available, but you get better at messing with it over time.
Do you know, can you switch back and forth between audiobook and ebook or like physical book? Like if you rent, do you have to rent one or the other, or is it kind of like?
You could do both. You could do all if you wanted. You could get the large format, the one with the big text. You could get the regular print version. You could get the audio one. Yeah. So it's really up to you, but they do require like separate checkouts. So like
Okay.
if you did get all three of the different versions or two versions that there are, it would be a separate checkout process and a separate there might be a different like length of waiting, like on the wait list or whatever. So you can't just like automatically go like right away from one to the other unless you've checked them both out at the same time.
Totally.
So somebody is saying, looks like my KCLS account is no longer valid. Is it normal for a library card to expire or become inactive after a period of not using it? Yes, that can happen. So then what you would want to do is just reapply for your library card, which is great right now because you just got to fill out that form and it's relatively easy. Yeah, no problem. Some like, and it varies, like some public libraries, I've lived places where you have to renew it every year. Like you actually physically have to go in and like, so the policies are kind of different from place to place, but they're making it very easy right now, which is great. I think it should always be as easy as this. Okay. I don't know. I didn't even do like a timer, Elliot, or anything on like how long we should be giving folks to look through SPL. How are you all feeling? Do you want more time to keep exploring? I don't want to cut you off too early. I'm seeing some thumbs up that people are good. Chris is good. Anna's good. Okay. Do folks have any other questions before we go on to reading lists and other resources? Ways to find books to read? Cool. Okay, well, I'm going to hand it back off to Elliot, and we're going to go into some of our other sort of secrets that we use for finding books to read.
Yeah, we're kind of at the end of our presentation here, so we're just going to go over some lists and then give you some time to click through the lists or see if you can find anything, or if you want to, just in the chat pod, some of you have been adding other places. So if you want to add some of the places where you get good books, I certainly would like, if you don't mind putting it into our list of lists, that'd be great too. So maybe we can just talk a little bit about some of the ones that we put in here. So the Odegaard Library does have a fantastic Goodreads collection that's really, I think, expertly curated and updated. So that might be an interesting place to look. Personally, I really love the National Book Award lists. Some of my links go only to fiction. So certainly I didn't mean to discount nonfiction or things like that, but I really love looking at anything that's up for the National Book Award. Part of me, like when I read, I like to be a part of I just like to know what people are excited about and to feel like I'm a part of a conversation that's happening about fiction that people are excited about. So I love that. The Booker Prize is another, I love their long lists for fiction. And it's kind of interesting how sometimes the Booker Prize will be drastically different from the National Book Award list. So that's good. Pulitzer Prize lists are great. I really like science fiction. So the Hugo Awards is big for me. I like to see what's there. And then another one that I put that's a little bit lower down is there is a reviewer for the New York Times, Parul Sehgal. And basically anything that she's excited about, I'm going to immediately get whatever it is and read it. I think it's fun to find the reviewers who you like or the readers that you like. And so I think she is just a genius. So if she's excited about something, I'll read it. And what I like about her reviews is that usually in her reviews, she contextualizes books with other books or talks about traditions of writing. So sometimes as I read her reviews, it's not just to get a book. Sometimes I'll pick up other books that are in certain styles or in conversation with whatever she's reviewing. So those are some of the strategies that I have for just picking up other things.
Yeah, so people are also mentioning in the chat, like subscribe to your local bookstore email list. Yeah, they send out amazing book recs or like staff picks. So like Elliott Bay, obviously like wonderful. And they'll often have things like book talks and stuff like that, which is really great. And I'm not sure if I would anticipate, I've gone to so many virtual book talks since the pandemic has hit. So I would anticipate that Elliott Bay is doing the same as well. So definitely take advantage of those. Like how often do you actually get to like talk to your favorite authors and ask questions of them? Like I love going. So some other resources I like, I'm going to share my screen just so I can show you some of them. So I don't know about you all, but I'm a big Goodreads person. So this is where like I connect with all of my librarian friends. Like this is one of my librarian friends. This is somebody, a friend of mine from high school, but it's great that you can see what everyone's reading. And I can keep track of all the things I'm reading. So I usually read like 7 to 10 things at a time because I just like different moods. Like I like going into different moods and types of things. They also have reading challenges, which are so fun. So like each year I try to read 50 books. It doesn't always happen, but you can set a goal and like cheer your friends on. And I just love knowing what my friends are reading and it gives me so many ideas. So yeah, in 2020, I read 100, which was like, whoa, that's like the most I've ever read in my life. But it kind of makes it fun and I like seeing what other folks are reading. So, and they also have like book lists, like best of 2020, things like that in their news section. So that's another resource I love. I subscribe to so many different book like newsletters that just send out like what's new this week. And I love like the lists, you know, like 10 mystery novels you should read that are coming out in January. So you can subscribe to any of their different types of lists that they have. And they have lists for like every different type of genre from Book Riot. So you can just subscribe to the ones that you want. They also have podcasts, things like that for book reviews. So Book Riot is one I highly, highly recommend. See, they have the different sections here and tons of newsletters tailored to whatever sort of genre you're into. Another resource I love is the NPR's Book Concierge. So I'm not sure if any of you have ever seen this or used this. If you're ever looking to get books for folks for, a birthday or the holidays, this is like what I use. So you can see on the left side the type of books that are available. You can click on those. Like if you're interested in historical fiction, what are the best 2020 historical fiction books that came out? And they'll give you all these recommendations. They'll give you like a little snippet of why they love it and what type of reader might like it. So these are great. I literally do like all of my holiday shopping using this tool because I'm like, oh yeah, I have a friend who loves music. What sort of music books got published in 2020 that I might not know about? And they have lists going back to 2013. So even if you get through all this stuff for 2020, there's still, I think it's like 300 books each year that they highlight here. So just going through that, you'd be set for life just using the concierge. Another website I love is called The Millions, and they're similar to like LitHub or other websites like that, but they do top 10 lists. They do a newsletter. Oh, I've read these are good. Yeah, so but you can subscribe to the different newsletters, get the lists available here. It's often like literary type of fiction on The Millions, but I love it. I think it's great. Another resource is LitHub. And you can go into reading lists. They'll give you like best of the decade or 10 books to read in this genre or whatever. I also really like bookmarks from LitHub, which is they'll give you like what they do is they pull in all of the critics' reviews and be like, these are the top reviewed books that are coming out. So this one has received, 5 rave reviews, 2 positive reviews. Nobody has given it a negative review yet that they've been tracking. You can see on some of the other ones, like this one has some mixed reviews. Some people really hated it. They panned it. So this is kind of fun if you're looking for book reviewers and to see like what are all the book critics saying across all different sorts of publications. So I love this sort of thing. And you can get, of course, all of these are going to have newsletters and things like that I subscribe to. And they come like once a week. And it is like a little treasure trove that I get every week in my email that I just get so excited about. So those are some of the tools that I use. Some of you may also follow like on social media, different book reviewers like Bookstagrammers or YouTubers that review books. So that's another way to kind of infuse reading into your social media practice already. So I follow people like Lupita Reads. You can just find like Google, like who are popular book Instagrammers or who are popular YouTube reviewers for books. And you'll see a great list of folks. But that's sort of a way that, I'm doom scrolling through my Instagram and then I'm like, oh, there's a book. Okay, that this Instagrammer is recommending to me. So it's sort of a way to break up some of my social media activity with book recommendations. So that's about it for me, Elliot. Were there any other sorts of things? I know you really love like author talks and readings, and that's how you get a lot of recommendations for things you want to read.
Yeah, I think that's been one positive thing for me associated with the pandemic is just all the readings that have been put online. So I remember just absolutely loving going to the Hugo House itself or to Elliott Bay for a reading before, but now they've shifted a lot of it online. So I think that can be a great way to, hear someone like Raven Leilani read from Luster or something like that. I think there's always the opportunity. I saw George Saunders has a new book out where it's like a list of Russian short stories that he loves and that he's taught. I went to he was giving a talk about that book the other day. And so it was just really, really wonderful to hear him talk and made me want to buy the book. And I wasn't planning to buy the books. but I feel like that's something that's been really nice, and just, and yeah, and I think there's been some questions in the chat just about this document that we've made. Yeah, we're not shutting it down. It's not going anywhere. So it'll be there if you want to continue to click on things or look at some of the results that came up. And Madison and I, we put our email addresses at the bottom. If there's anything that we can help with or support you with, please don't hesitate to contact us. But yeah, I think that was most of what we wanted to get through today and talk about. And yeah, we're here to help.
Well, thank you both so much. I mean, personally, I feel like I already found like 10 new books I want to go read. So it'll be super fun to keep tracking this Google Doc and get it out to the rest of the group too. I'm sure we'll create a really big library just within our own group here. That's like Elliot and Madison just said, that's kind of all we have for today. So I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Friday. And we're going to go ahead and close. This recording will be posted to that webpage, and you'll get it via email as well. And we'll make sure the Google Doc and my slides from the beginning are also accessible for you. So thank you, everyone. I hope you learned something new and enjoyed your time.